Hey guys, welcome to Sacred Stories. We're super excited to have you here. Sacred Stories is a special place where we explore deep and inspiring stories that touch the heart and soul. The Bible talks a lot about spiritual attacks, highlighting the struggle that believers face against evil forces. I will tell you some of the main verses on this topic, as if I were sharing a story. Imagine that Paul is writing a letter to the Ephesians. He is concerned and wants everyone to be prepared to face spiritual challenges, he says so. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can stand firm against the schemes of the devil. Because our fight is not against human beings, but against the powers and authorities, against the rulers of this dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Paul is basically saying, look, you need to arm yourselves with God's strength to face these challenges. We are not fighting against people, but against invisible and evil forces. Now, imagine Peter, a zealous leader, speaking to his followers. He warns them seriously. Be sober and watchful. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him, remaining firm in the faith. 1 Peter. Peter is saying, hey, stay tuned. The devil is lurking, waiting for an opportunity to attack. But if you remain firm in your faith, he won't stand a chance. Tiago also has something important to say. He gives practical and direct advice. Therefore submit yourselves to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. James is advising, if you place yourselves under God's protection and resist the devil, he will have no choice but to flee. Paul again, this time writing to the Corinthians, explains the spiritual nature of our battle. For although we live as men, we do not fight according to human standards. The weapons with which we fight are not human. On the contrary, they are powerful through God to destroy strongholds. We destroy arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Paul is saying, we do not fight with ordinary weapons. Ours are spiritual and mighty in God. They can destroy any barrier that stands against the knowledge of God. Finally, John, with a comforting tone, encourages believers, little children, you belong to God and have overcome them, because he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. 1 John 4:4. John is saying, remember, you belong to God, and you have already overcome, because God's power in you is greater than any evil power in the world. Spiritual attacks are a constant reality in the lives of believers, and the Bible has a lot to say about why they happen. I'll tell you how this works, as if we were having a conversation between friends. Let's start with the story of Satan. Originally, he was an angel, but something changed. He rebelled against God and was therefore expelled from heaven. Since then, Satan has been determined to destroy God's work and attack those who follow God. Now, think about the enmity between God and Satan. Satan and his demons are always in opposition to God and His will. They want to turn believers away from God and weaken their faith. Peter gives us a clear warning in 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober and watchful. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Just imagine a lion prowling, ready to attack at any moment. This is why we need to be alert and firm in our faith. Sometimes God allows these spiritual attacks to test and strengthen our faith. Tiago gives us an interesting perspective on this. He says in James 1:2-3, consider it all joy, my brothers, when you encounter trials of many kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. It's like taking a difficult test at school, which in the end leaves us stronger and more prepared. Spiritual attacks can also be used by God to purify and sanctify His followers. God disciplines us for our good, so that we may share in His holiness. No discipline seems to be a reason for joy at the moment, but for sadness, but later it produces the fruit of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Think of it as rigorous training that, although difficult, makes us better and more righteous. We live in a world influenced by evil. The Bible tells us in 1 John 5:19, "We know that we belong to God, and that the whole world is under the power of the evil one." This means that living in this world exposes us to spiritual attacks constantly. It's an ongoing battle, and we always need to be prepared. And we cannot forget free will and the consequences of sin. Sinful choices can open doors to spiritual attacks. Sometimes these attacks come through disturbing dreams. Imagine you sleeping, and suddenly you start having repeated nightmares. The ones that leave you awake in the middle of the night, in a cold sweat, and with your heart racing. No matter how hard you try, these dreams keep coming back, taking away your peace and rest. Now, imagine that, on top of that, you start to feel like you are always fighting with the people around you. It could be with your family, friends, or co-workers. Arguments come out of nowhere, and suddenly you are in the middle of a conflict that seems to have no end. It's as if there is an invisible force trying to cause division and discord in your life. What's more, in some cases, you may feel a negative presence around you. You know that strange feeling when something or someone is watching you, especially when you're alone. It can be chilling and make you uncomfortable in your own home or in places where you used to feel safe. These are some classic signs that you may be experiencing a spiritual attack. But don't worry, all is not lost. There are ways to protect yourself and combat these attacks. Remember that armor of God that Paul talks about in Ephesians 6. He describes each piece of this armor as a defense against these attacks: truth as a belt, justice as a breastplate, faith as a spirit, salvation as a helmet, and the word of God as a sword. Basically, it's a way of saying that you need to be spiritually prepared, using prayer, faith, and the word of God as your weapons. Furthermore, James gives us simple but powerful advice: therefore submit yourselves to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. This means that by placing ourselves under God's protection and resisting temptations and attacks, we are guaranteed that the enemy will go away. Finally, it is important to remember John's encouraging words: "Little children, you belong to God and have overcome them, because he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." This is a powerful reminder that God's power within us is greater than any evil force that could attack us. This is a powerful reminder that God's power within us is greater than any evil force that could attack us. This gives us strength and confidence to face anything that comes against us. And so, we can continue our journey, knowing that we are not alone in this spiritual battle. I want to start by thanking you from the bottom of my heart for being here with me. Every view, every like, every comment makes a huge difference. It's incredible to know that we have this connection. Even if it's virtual, if you've made it this far, it's because you really cared about what we shared today. This means a lot to me. Knowing that the content resonated with you gives me even more energy to continue creating videos that can help, inspire and, who knows, transform each person's life a little. Once again, thank you very much for being here. You guys are amazing, and I'm grateful to have such an engaged and special community. Stay tuned for more videos and see you next time.